everybody. Welcome to your Tactical Tuesday. I was calling it Taco Tuesday for the longest time, but you know, tactical just has much more trading appeal. Of course, that was actually my guest idea today. Ryan Watkins is our guest today. We're going to, again, start the way we normally do now, which is going to go straight into that guest. As I mentioned earlier, and you guys may have seen from the marketing material, we're going to keep it on stocks today. I think it's nice to keep it somewhat focused. Tactical Tuesday is the topic du jour, and our guest is a longtime friend of mine, and actually from the old trading floor days back in Irvine, California. We have Ryan Watkins joining us today. Ryan, how you doing?
Good, thank you, Merlin. Thanks for having me on your show. Hello, traders.
It's always great to have you on. I know you were on the Trader Merlin show, or sorry, the Power Trading Radio show a long time ago, but now...
We were on the very first one together.
Oh,
very
that's
first
right.
one.
Wow, you talk about going back in the day. I mean, that was... we were inside of a sweaty little room. I remember that. Wow.
A little human there.
I should have had you on this one first, just as a, kind of keep the tradition for another 10 years.
Yeah. At least there was no mosquitoes there.
Ryan's alluding to the fact that if you notice I'm smiling profusely today, it's because there was a mosquito on my ceiling and they attacked me in my office while I'm doing the show, and I was bitten by one. Anyway, Chuck, thank you for the contribution. I do appreciate it, my friend. If you have questions throughout the day, let me know. Send them on in. You get priority on the questions for Mr. Watkins. Ryan, I'm going to do something that I do for all the guests when they start for their first time on this show. I think you and I have done this because Ryan doesn't have a camera. That's why people are asking, why aren't you on the live feed? Because of the whole COVID thing, getting a camera, a webcam right now is very hard to do. Ryan has one ordered. It's just not there yet. So
I've tried multiple times. They just keep putting it on back order or something.
It's crazy. Yeah. Well, hey, I'll make a good deal on mine. So let's do this. I'm going to ask you 3 questions. Kind of we'll call it the, not market update. Where is the profile? I called it the trader profile, which is a little bit different than what we did last time. It's 3 simple questions. What do you trade? How long have you been trading? And what would you say was your trading style?
So what I trade equities, which are stocks, options on equities, and futures. And I've been doing this for all about 27 years now. And started out trading stocks, more let's call it investing. But I didn't really start actively trading until 1999, January of 1999. And the trading style, I would say swing trading. That is primarily what I do now, and that's pretty much been my bread and butter since I started trading actively. I've done day trading, long-term stuff, but most of my trades are swing trades, and then a little bit of a portfolio management for family members as well.
Nice. So you're running the full gamut of things. Well, you said January '99 is when you started. That was the trading floor, right? That I met you?
That's right. Yeah, I was on the momentum, block trading, all that type of stuff, momentum securities back then on the trading floor. I wasn't there too long. I think only about 10 months or so, maybe a year. But yeah, that was a great experience, though.
Yeah, you and your dad were on that floor for a while.
That's right.
Fun. Got to meet you guys both. Scott says you were his OTA futures teacher in April, so he says hello.
All right. Hey, Scott. How you doing?
Let's go to listener questions. We've got a bunch of them. I want to go to a few different venues here. Of course, if you guys have anything you want us to analyze, let us know what it is. I'm going to go to this one from Marcel. Marcel says, I bought Adobe back in May when it broke $387. I'm still in it and wondering where I should get out. Any suggestions? So, because we have the technology and the trading platforms, we can bring those up. And it depends on who wants to look at it, but Ryan's got his screen up here too, so I'll share that as we go. What's your thoughts on Adobe?
I really like Adobe a lot. So you bought it back at $387, so you got a really good price on that. It's performing quite well for you. And this is something that as a swing trader, I've been in and out of, a little here, a little there kind of thing. I'm currently out. I got out just recently, in fact, and I'm looking to get back in on this next pullback. So I have 2 different areas that I'm really concentrating on. For example, on the daily chart right here, we can see it just broke above, made a new high right here just recently, the 446.15 area. We're starting to get our correction or pullback right now. That's end of date today. So what I'm looking for as a swing trader is I'd like to see a couple more down days, maybe 2, maybe 3 more down days. It might only be 1, we'll see. But if we can get it somewhere down in this area in here, then that's when I'm going to start looking to buy this thing. Now, when I say buy, it really, let me clarify, long position. That could be buying the stock outright. Now, this is a $400+ stock, so in something like this, I would prefer personally to go look at options on this. And so I have these areas marked off. So for example, on the 240-minute chart, when it comes down here in that first green area, that tells me that triggers my buy situation, my long setup. So that's when I'm going to go start looking for options. In this case, probably credit spreads right down here below the 415 mark. And then if it drops down a little bit lower in that 415 area here, the lower green area, then either just stay in it or buy there, getting into a different long position there. So Adobe is absolutely one of the strongest stocks out there right now. Love it. I'm a buyer of it. If we come down just a little bit lower. Now, for your viewer's question, who's already in it, if that was me and I bought it down there at the 87 area, and I'm still in this thing, then I would personally be putting my stop, let me draw it in here, right below about that 416 area, right about there. Let's give that a nice pretty little color there and make that right. There we are. So I'd have my stop right about, call it 409, 4010 range is where I would have my stop on that if, I'm that viewer and in that long position right now.
Okay. Sorry, I'm fixing some audio stuff. It's interesting. Ryan, I like this because Ryan is going to look at this maybe from the swing to longer term perspective. I'm looking at Adobe right now, Marcel, and I'm thinking I can't wait to see what happens tomorrow morning because I'm looking at this as a day trade short tomorrow. So I'm excited about it. Let me show you why I think so. You've had this huge run-up on Adobe. You guys can obviously see my screen here. You've had this monster run-up. It's been absolutely fantastic for Adobe. And then today, we formed this beautiful shooting star formation. We closed almost at the dead lows at 449.36. The dead low on the day for Adobe was 448.72. So we'll call that dead low. Now, for me, of course, you guys know my rules on trading shooting stars. It's one of my favorite patterns that exist. I would put a line right across the low of today, which is right there at 448.72, and say if we open up above that line tomorrow and we start tanking down below it, I'm really looking forward to a short. Now, where am I looking for it to go down to? I'm looking for it to go towards those levels that Ryan pointed out. I think that 416 area is a prime target for this one. Maybe a little bit higher than that, for just a tad above 416. But that could be something that starts out tomorrow as a day trade for me and then slowly maybe even turns into a swing trade if I'm in the money enough on tomorrow's trade. Hopefully tomorrow I'll be confirming with you that I actually did go short on Adobe. So we've got Ryan saying intermediate to longer term, he likes it long because that's the trend. And I'm saying short term, I like it as a short. A little bit different.
Marlon, that's a really great way of looking at any market on there is you could have a short setup from a smaller time interval and then a long set up from a longer time interval, and that's very, very common. You see that quite often.
All right. Well, Adobe's done, so hopefully, Marcel, that appeases you. Let's go to our next question, which we had some really interesting ones. This is for Ryan. When scanning for trades, what is the most important thing for you? And I know you look at a lot of different things. We all have our special little way that we like to do things. What would you say would be the most important thing for you when you're out there looking for trading or investing opportunities, Ryan?
So the first thing that comes to mind for me as a trend trader, let's make sure that's clarified, because as a trend trader, I'm looking number one for relative strength. I want to find strong moving markets. And I say markets, it's not necessarily stocks. It could be futures, relative strength futures. I don't trade Forex, but that would be the case there too. Now, if I'm just doing iron condors, I don't care about relative strength. In fact, I don't want that. I just want some, sloppy moving stock, going sideways kind of thing. But for majority of what I'm looking for, I like to get in on the trend and ride that trend for a long time, get in that big, nice impulse move, the next big move up. And so I need to find relative strength. That's the number one thing I'm looking for. Strength, strength, strength.
And how do you find that? I know you talked about you run some scans and filters out there in the marketplace. Is there an easy way to do it? Because relative strength is obviously fairly subjective. Are we talking relative strength compared to the overall market, compared to its sector, its financials? What do you look at?
It's a great question. There's several ways to do this. I do use a pretty sophisticated scanning tool for that, and it costs about $150 a month to do it, so that's not for everyone. But what people could do, either for free and to get close, is finviz.com has some good scanners on there to get a pretty good idea of relative strength stocks. But also I can share with you another method that I'm using. This is what hopefully you're seeing my screen now, is what my Tradestation Workspace looks like. So I just have a list of the S&P 500, and then right here it says S&P 500 rel strength. That's the relative strength. Okay. And I could do this by 4 weeks, 26 weeks, year to date, whatever. So I'll just say double click on 4 weeks, and it says right there, Amazon. That's number one. So I'll click on Amazon, and then that will load up the Amazon chart. Now, when I see something like this, that's way too extended. That's just straight up. I don't mess with that. That's not the setup I'm looking for. I want to see a more of a 45 to 60 degree angle, or something like that, not almost straight up like that. And so, like Netflix pops up on the list. That's number 3 on the list. So Netflix has been one I've been trading quite often lately. And then here's my setups for that as well. So this is what I'm looking at on the weekly chart, which I want to see a corrective move in this area right here to trigger a long setup for me. And then the daily and the 240 down here as well. So I start there. I start with relative strength and then just work my way down into the actual buy or short setups.
And I want to make it clear why this is, guys. It's important that you understand exactly the logic behind this, and it's something that we've talked about in this show, and I'm sure many of you who have taken classes before, you understand this, is you always want to put your money on the lead horse, right? Even though the let's say there's a 2-1 favorite to win the Derby, the odds aren't very good, you don't get paid a lot of money, but the odds are there that horse is going to win. So more often than not, you'll get paid, just it's not going to be the big winner. A lot of people like to take the long shot, so they go against the trend and do things that are very challenging. What Ryan's saying here is, look, I've got a market that, for whatever reason, whether you agree with it or not, doesn't make a difference. It's moving up, and it's moving up aggressively. So you want to be going long. So what you wouldn't want to just go long arbitrarily anything, right? He's looking for stuff that underneath the hood, it's got a strong engine, that things are running good, and that's going to be more the relative strength, the fundamental side of things to push it to the upside. Now, that doesn't mean that you're always going to be long bias, but as the market is strong, he's looking to buy pullbacks in the strong stocks. He's not looking to buy a pullback in a weak stock. Am I correct with that?
That is correct.
Now, let's change perspective here. Right now we're in this market where it seems like it doesn't matter what the hell happens, the markets are just shrugging it off and keeps on moving up to the top. When do you change, or what sort of things do you look for to reverse your decision or reverse your position? Because there will be a time when all of a sudden we're back in a bearish mode and you're going to be now looking to sell those weak ones.
Right. So the first thing I'd look for are the major markets, your major equity markets, S&P, NASDAQ primarily, because I trade mainly NASDAQ stocks and S&P stocks. And so I'm constantly looking at those major markets to get a good feel for it. I kind of use the term dancing with the markets. If you've ever I had to take a dance class one time to get married.
Really?
So, oh yeah.
To get married was a prerequisite?
Yeah, it's a prerequisite. Pretty much.
I love you, but you got to dance.
I think that's kind of how it went down. But anyway, so I'm learning how to do the Viennese waltz. And I had a good time with it. It was nice, but I had to learn these steps, right? 2 steps forward, 1 step back kind of thing. And the market acts in a similar way, where it might take 2 steps forward and 1 step back. So right now we've had our 2 steps forward. Now we're waiting for that corrective move, that 1 step back. And so what I'm looking for in here is, okay, we're still bullish. We're still got the uptrend. Reasons, I don't know, whatever the reasons are, it's going up, it's going higher. So what I'm mainly looking for in order to change my mind and look for shorting opportunity is, number 1, do I see weakness in the market? And not just a correction, that's weakness, but that's oftentimes just a normal everyday, profit taking, prices pulling back type of thing. But mainly what I'm looking for is a trend break. So for example, if the NASDAQ busts through this 97.28 area, okay, that's some significant weakness there. It's not just a pullback anymore. It's like, we took out major support or major demand or major something. That's a serious issue. And so now I'm looking to change the perspective and say, do I need to start shorting now? And there's a few other factors along the way, but that would be number 1, did we get the trend line break? Not the trend line, sorry, but a trend reversal on the 240. That's the first red flag. Second red flag, did we get a trend reversal on the daily? And at that point, it's like, okay, we're going down. Let's get out of some longs, start getting short.
Mm-hmm. Does, and I love it because you have specific things you're looking for, lines in the sand, if you will.
Yep, exactly. That's in fact what I call it, line in the sand.
Yeah. No, it's great. Now, do you ever get to the point where oh my God! I lost my train of thought. So you got all these rules in place. Do you ever feel regretful or maybe disappointed that you left some money on the table? Because obviously, if the Nasdaq goes from 10,500 all the way down to 9,700, that's an 800-point move on the Nasdaq. You would be letting that money, in essence, get away from you before you started reversing your decision.
It's a great question, and I used to regret those. I used to say, I left all that money on the table. No, because I got the run up when the trend first started.
Right.
And I was able to get that major move. So that last move down, that's the end of the trend. Like, party's over. That's it, done. And so I used to feel like, oh, I should have sold the exact high. Look, I've only ever to buy the exact low and sell the exact high once in my 27 trading years of trading. Once have I been able to do that, on the same day. So it's not realistic for me to sell at the exact high or buy at the exact low. I know that's just not realistic.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm okay giving up a little bit. I call that giving some to charity. Leave some to charity. you get the lion's share and give a little charity along the way. And so that's really what it is. But it goes deeper, Merlin. It's an attitude, or let's say a psychological mindset that says, I'm not going to be so greedy. I'm going to try to get the exact low and the exact high.
Right.
And that's really helped in other areas, like, not having the fear of losing money, not having the fear of missing an opportunity. And it helps in those areas big time.
Yeah.
And the other thing, though, too, is that, the NASDAQ's not the only market I'm looking at here. There's other markets out there that will shift and change first or last. It just depends on what order it's in. So by looking at the major markets, I'm able to see that shift and that turn to get a real good idea of like right now, it's really, really extended. Okay, good time to take some profits on a lot of long positions that I'm in. Let's start scaling out, start, exiting portions of those positions so that when it comes back down, right down here, if it goes all the way through and the trend reverses, I'm not in a full long position. That makes sense? I'm not fully exposed risk, in other words.
Right.
I've scaled out, and so I do a lot of that. I'll scale in on occasion, but a lot of scaling out, target 1, target 2 type of thing.
And that's great because he actually asked this. It says, you have mechanical trailing stops for that as well, and I think that's a good point.
True.
He's not gonna let the Nasdaq fall with his positions long from 10.5 all the way down to 9.7 before he gets out. There'll be some move out before then. I think the key is that when he finally does get out of that position, he's in cash, sees it break that 9,700 on the NQ. Now it's like, okay, well, now I'll bring out the short gun because that's clearly, we've broken that level of demand, of support, what do you want to call it, accumulation, and all of a sudden we're looking for a new low. So that's when that strategy changes. And that's kind of what I was getting at, trying to figure out when that turning point is for you. So, cool.
Yeah, and that's it. I'd use technical stops to be specific, and that helps me let profits run.
Yep. All right, so Mike, you said basically with Tradestation, it's really simple. I'll share my screen. He was asking about where you add in relative strength. Here's a radar screener. You said that you found it, but I'll show you anyway. You just go to Insert Analysis Techniques, and you type in R for relative strength, and you'll see right there you have multiple for relative strength that you can add in, and that is the easy way to do it there. All right, let's see. Let's go back to listener questions here since we've got more of them coming in. Let's see. That was Alice asked for Ryan the scaling opportunities. So let me bring up the next one. Can you give me your analysis if work? I'm thinking it says analysis of Workhorse Group. This is for Oren. I looked at this one and I just kind of laughed. It's WKHS. And Oren, I have a feeling you're not going to like my analysis of this one. I apologize in advance. WKHS is the symbol. Ryan, do you want to go with this one first before I embarrass myself?
Sure. So I got on my screen here. I don't trade these patterns. Let me put it this way. I don't trade stocks. I trade patterns. Now, stocks just happen to be part of the deal, but I trade patterns, and this is not one of those patterns. So this would be something that I don't touch. It's just not my thing. It's not. Who said that? Ted Williams was a real famous baseball player, and he wrote a book, and he had this strike zone. And within that strike zone, he basically tabulated what is his batting average depending on where the ball was thrown within that strike zone. And he found that pretty much dead center is where he would hit the ball the best. He had the highest probability of connecting bat to ball. And then like down and low was low probability and that type of stuff. So I really look at it like that. What is my pitch? What is my high probability trade setup? And that's what I trade. And this is not it. I don't know what that is. It's not mine. It's not my pitch, though. It might be someone else's, but it's not mine.
Yeah, I'm 100% with you. I looked at this one. I'll bring up my chart over here just because I can draw on it. I don't know what they do. I don't particularly care. Until a month ago, this stock was a nobody. It was a $4 penny stock. My guess is this is a Robinhood stock. My guess is, as these guys were buying Hertz, bankrupt companies, and other bankrupt companies, they stumbled across Workhorse trading at $2 and some. You know what? Let's find out. I'll tell you guys whether this is a Robinhood stock or not, because we have the technology to go and look. Let's see. There's Trader Ted. Let's go to, here's Robinhood. Let's go to, type in the symbol, WKHS. Just to give you guys an idea of what happened here, my guess is you're going to see a huge run-up in the holdings from Robinhood members here. Oh, that's the price. Where's the Robinhood members? We'll see that. Oh, look at that. Convenient. This is so classic of novice investors. Look at that. You guys see this green line here really represents the Robinhood investors. And until the 18th of June, there were only 21,000 in accounts that held WKHS. And that's when it was trading at $4. If we fast forward just like a couple of weeks, less than that, a week, it went from, what number did I say? 21,000 to over 140,000 accounts holding this one. And notice that the lines are perfectly in sync. This stock was driven up by Robinhood investors. Stay away from it. Leave it alone. My guess is, Oren, you're trading at Robinhood, and maybe this came up on a screener. To me, this is just a crapshoot. You're rolling the dice in. I hope I get lucky. I'd leave it alone. And this is rude of me because I don't even know what this company does. I don't care. I'm like Ryan. This is not the pitch for me. I would move on to something else. Okay, there we go. Let's see. Let's go to one more list of questions. That was for Workhorse. Here's from Tom says, I went long TMO. Conveniently, Tom's initials are the same as the ticker symbol that he's trading. TMO on a breakout last week. It's an all-time highs. How do I pick a target? Let me real quickly bring up TMO here so I can take a peek at it, and then maybe I'll let Ryan take over and share his screen. I've got two harbors here. .D, .W. I don't see. Oh, TMO. I'm sorry. I was looking at this going, this does not make sense. TWO. Huh. TMO? I'm on the wrong one.
GMO.
There we
Tango,
go.
Mary, Oscar.
There we go. Well, at least this one looks a lot stronger than the TMO. All right. I'll let you start with this one, Ryan. I see you've got the three charts up there ready for analysis. Yep. So what's your take on it?
So the question was, I believe they're in the long position now, and the question was, how do I set targets on that? So for when I trade all-time high markets like this, I really look at this in two ways. When it's at an all-time high, those can really just keep going and going and going. Mm-hmm. I mean, they just, who knows how long that thing could go. So I don't have really a fixed target that I use. I will let profits run on those. Those are just, hey, we got a lottery ticket, let's let the thing run. But I will manage the trade using a technical stop. Now, in a situation like this is the term I use is called going ballistic. Okay, it's ballistic. It's like straight up. Remember the movie Top Gun?
Oh, yeah.
Where Goose says, we're going ballistic, man. That's where it got it from, okay? So,
I'm in that movie, Ryan. There's a Merlin in there. I'm in there.
You are. You're in that movie. You're a fighter pilot. There you go. And so, anyways, this is going ballistic. It's going straight up, So what I do in situations like this, and you can actually start seeing it here on the 240-minute charts. Let me put this in here. Notice how it's just kind of going sideways, a little pause right there. So what I would do if I'm in this position, I'm not, but if I'm the other person, the other trader here, if I'm in this position, my stop goes right there, right underneath that basing. Now what that does is kind of like what we were talking before, it locks in those profits. So that way, if it continues to go higher, great, you're still in it, let those profits run. But if it reverses, you're not going to give up a huge chunk of profit. Because if this thing pulls back, it's likely going to pull back, somewhere in this area or lower. Mm-hmm. So it all depends on how that trader wants to manage this position. But I personally don't use fixed targets on markets at all-time highs that are that strong. I'll just manage it, let profits run using a technical stop.
I'm looking at your middle chart over here, and I'm salivating. I got to grab a tissue because, again, you guys know I love shooting stars. I don't know why. It's just one of my favorite patterns. If you look at this middle chart that Ryan has up here, it's really interesting because they have that giant candle yesterday. Now, he's got him here as blue, I'm assuming, because I'm colorblind, but it used to be, normally they're green or white for up candles. That's an incredibly bullish move yesterday. Now, today, you would expect with that kind of move that there'd be some follow-through. Yesterday's volume was higher than average. You'd expect some follow-through. Today, it tried to. It actually started to move up. It would have been a nice green candle at one point, but all of a sudden gave up the ghost and ended up near the session lows. To me, this actually screams that it might actually come and try to close that gap. So I like this as a short for tomorrow, just short term. I mean, you can't argue and go, full bore against this trend because it has been very strong up. But I do like this as a potential short below 380 and a quarter. and maybe even closing that gap at 365 and change. So I like it. I wrote it down for myself. I've got Adobe and I got TMO as potential shorts. So I want to thank our viewers for showing me.
We know what you're going to be trading tomorrow.
Yeah, you know me. I like the short side. I tend to be a little bit more of a short term guy. All right, well there you go. Ryan, I got a question from Fink. It says, what about ABBV? How about an analysis of that one? Let's throw that one on the chart here. It has been on I'll say a slow move up, but honestly it's gone from $65 to 100 since the 23rd of March. So a beautiful move up here on ABV. What are your thoughts?
Very nice. Weekly looks very strong, very bullish. That looks great there. If they're in a long position or looking to get in a long position, then I would be looking at right in this area here. If price pulls back, let me get that lined up there, somewhere right about in there. I like this a lot. This looks great. I don't know anything about that company. I've heard it many, many times before. I've seen it, but I haven't traded this one anytime recently. So I'm not sure what they do, what the fundamentals are, anything like that. But technicals look outstanding on this. And just to be even more specific, let me do this. Let's put it on the 240. There to roughly there. So yeah, I like this technical setup very much. That looks really great.
Yeah, looks pretty good. As a buy the pullback one, it's interesting how we draw our zones a bit different. I think Ryan, you do yours a little bit wider. I'd probably lock mine down a little bit. I actually like the zone on that 4-hour chart, just from that right around 96.50, but not all the way down to 94. And that's just because I'm a little bit too cheap. I'd rather take a second shot at it if I get stopped out. So. We all do things slightly different.
It's really interesting you brought that up because on the daily, I just by habit do draw wide or tall zones, but that's because I'm doing a lot of option trades on it. So I'm not necessarily buying the stock at 96 and 94. I'd be looking, I don't even know if this optionable, what the options liquidity on this is, but putting a credit spread on right down below here when it gets to 96, 94. Now, the other thing, though, if I'm buying the outright stock on this or futures or forex, whatever it is, then I'll wait for it to come down. So I just call that a condition to the trade. So I wouldn't be buying at 96, 94, but once that condition has been met, then I'll come over here on the lower time frame chart, like a 30 or a 60, wait for the trend to change or a sideways market, and then either buy the breakout after a little sideways consolidation or buy after it has a little bullish reversal pattern. So that's why I'm drawing those bigger zones, not necessarily to buy at that price, but using it as a condition to set up the next condition of the trade. So condition 1, condition 2, condition 3, buy kind of thing.
Yeah. All right, we got now we got more people asking questions. Check out OSTK Overstock. Yeah, this one has been just Overstock and big lots just have me shaking my head as to why the hell they're rallying so much.
Look at
that. This is one we all wish that we were in. This is just a phenomenal runner right now.
Yeah.
What's your take on it? I see some things that definitely bring up conversation points for me, but I'd like to get your take first because I noticed you don't look at volume on your charts.
No, I'm pretty what I call naked. I trade naked. Naked charts.
That's why we don't have a camera, folks.
That's why the camera's not right. You're making me blush, Merlin.
Good.
So, I really like the charts clean. You can see right there. I don't even have the dates on down here for the calendar. It's like, what do I need to see a date for? Remember, I trade patterns. I trade technical patterns that have, some kind of fundamental qualifier, with the stock. But I'm trained my eyes to look for specific price patterns, and a date or a time or a price is meaningless to me in that aspect, So I really do like these clean or naked charts right here, no indicators or anything like that. And that's just been a process of learning how to do that. There was a time where I had all kinds of indicators. In fact, I have a picture of it somewhere where I have, I think, like 8 indicators on. And it's just like pretty much all the majors, MACD and, all that kind of stuff, and big level 2 screens, the whole deal. And it just got to the point where it's like, what am I even looking at? And it was confusing me more than it was helping me. So once I just said, hey, let's just do an experiment and try just looking at price and only price, it was kind of hard at first because I had to learn it and it struggled through it and it was a grind. But once I did it, I was sold. I'm like, that's it. That's the way I want to go.
Yeah. It's funny because you're very minimalist.
Yes.
I'll share my screens and you guys, this is pretty much what I look at. There's one thing I have on here that I normally don't have on my screen, which is the watermark, and I do that just for the viewers out at home so you guys can see what that is. But notice I have no grid lines, no horizontal, no session breaks, no vertical lines, and I do use volume, which is why I wanted to bring up that last symbol, and that what we were just looking at, OSTK, Overstock. Check out the volume on Overstock today. It might actually be a record volume. It traded almost 11 million shares today. That's well over double its average, and it's just spiked over the past 3 days. To me, this is one of those signs of climactic volume. At a certain point, we start to get a reversal will form, because what's driving this Overstock up? Buyers are driving it up. Clearly, you can see the price is ripping and volume is exceptionally high. At a certain point, there won't be anybody else left to buy it, and all of a sudden it'll come ripping back down as people start to take profits. So I am not interested in buying Overstock right now at all. I'm actually really looking at this thinking, boy, at some point here in the next couple days, my guess is it's going to start having a big rip to the downside and retrace. Not that this uptrend is going to be over, but if we were to put on something like, let's just throw on a simple moving average, right? Let me go and throw on 2 moving averages. And I think I have, this is the 50, 200. Let's throw on the 20 and the 50. So you guys can get an idea what I'm talking about. Look how extended it is away from those 2 moving averages. For the most part, those lines are trending up at about a 45-degree angle. And so is price. That's great. But all of a sudden, in the past 4 days, it's gone absolutely parabolic. It will come ripping back down to those moving average lines. It will. I'll guarantee it. It's going to come ripping back down at some point. I don't know whether it's tomorrow or the next day, but this is overstretched right now. I'd be careful for a pullback here. If you're long, lock in some profits on this one.
Sure.
All right, one more, and then we'll go into PBJ's question about when is your company launching. Let's look at SQ. Are you a pattern guy as far as like triangles or shooting stars? Because I love hammers and shooting stars. Do you care for that stuff at all?
I do. In fact, it's one of the things I do look for in the right location, of course, not just a hammer, anywhere, but it's got to be at the right, direction, going in the right location, that type of thing.
The question from Mike was, would you have been looking to short from that hammer of yesterday? There was a 10% reversal from the top. For those that know my style, yes, this would absolutely have. I don't know why it didn't come up on my radar screen. It's funny because the screener I'm using through Tradestation has not been working. It's kind of wonky sometimes. But basically, my rule would have been, if it breaks down, if it opens up above. Oh, let me share my screen for you guys. If it opens above 118 and then started to sell off today down below 118, then I'm in. But you guys notice it gapped up today and just kept on running, so it's a no trade for me, and it's off my plate. I wouldn't look at it any further. I'd move on to something else like TMO and Adobe. All right, Ryan, tell me a little bit about your endeavors. I know a lot of instructors who teach for Online Trading Academy. Some are still teaching there. Some are out doing other things, doing their own or doing multiple projects at once. I think you're in the multiple project category. What's in your world with regards to trading education?
Yeah, so I decided to go out on my own and launch my own trading and education firm, and been working on the content, building out some courses and stuff like that. And it's been very, I guess the word is joy with developing it, because it's like I can use all that 27 years of knowledge and experience and skill and put it into an organized, simple and clean format. And it's going to be out there for whoever wants it. It's kind of like a legacy thing for my kids, that they'll be able to learn from what I used to do or did or do, and so on. And so whoever wants it, it'll be available to them. And, just there you go. So I'm having a lot of fun doing it, but I'm definitely not rushing it. I'm taking my time with it, making sure it's done right and clean and simple, easy to understand. Mainly what I'm trying to do is to help people make money in trading, and that's the bottom line. This is why we do this, to make money trading and investing, of course, too. I'll throw that in there, and so that's really the bottom line: is how can I help people get right to the point, show them how to make money in the markets, whether it's day trading, swing trading, like I mainly do, longer term investing, whatever it may be, whatever their style is let's just get to the point and show them how to do that.
Nice. And I think the website that you mentioned is tradertactics.com, right?
Correct. Yep. Tradertactics.com. Don't have a date of when it's going to be opening up yet, but if people are curious about it, they can sign up on the website for the grand opening.
Woohoo!
Yeah.
We like it. Well, nice. Yeah, I saw you were doing some stuff over there with Trader's Army. He's doing his own thing, so he's probably going to be bouncing all over the place. I don't know if you're officially done with Online Trading Academy, or
I am. That's correct. Officially severed ties. I resigned, and it wasn't bad or anything like that. I mean, it was like, hey guys, thanks. Yeah. I had a really great memories there, great experience, and really enjoyed much of it. Met a lot of really good friends, including yourself. And It's just like, hey guys, look, thanks, but it's time for me to go on and do my own thing, and left with peace.
Good. It's definitely nothing wrong with that. I think when all the dust settles, again, I've talked about this at length, not going into mentioning names, but at a certain point, I'm hoping when the dust settles and the lawsuits settle, that we can point the finger at the two individuals who caused this this problem, this issue, one of which is heralded as a hero and one of the great minds in the trading world, and he's just a dunce. But anyway, we'll leave it at that. One other question that came through here.
You said you wouldn't mention any names.
I didn't mention any names. I said he will be a dunce. That's it. Guy should. I hope that karma comes back and absolutely just destroys that fool. And his whole trading company comes crashing down like a ball of fire. And all the poor people that paid money there, I hope that they seek retribution for him as well. There was a question here. Let's look at Tesla real quick. I know we got to wrap things up, but let's go look at Tesla. TSLA. Obviously, this has been the reason that the NASDAQ has been vaulting and ripping to the upside. It's been phenomenally powerful. I mean, gone from $1,000 to $1,400 in 5 days, and it's one of the major components of the NASDAQ. So that is clearly the lead dog, well above normal volume. And Mike says, Frankie Shop says, what about a top on Tesla, Merlin? What do you think is going on? Could this really all be Robinhooders? No, this is not. Tesla is not all Robinhooders right now. This is what you get with a hot sector. Ryan and I were literally sitting in the front seat of the train of the internet bubble as it was just ripping, and companies were flying in out of nowhere, and all of a sudden people were buying every single thing that had to do with the .com. Tesla is the leader in the EV space right now. We talked about this on yesterday's show, but if you look at a lot of the other little tiny companies that haven't produced anything yet either are vaulting today. NIO had another like 12 or 15% gain today. I wouldn't be trying to pick a top on Tesla. This thing is just too dangerous, because when you have the FOMO with an entire global community, things can rip much, much higher. I mean, if you ask me, would Tesla hit 600 before it hits 3,000? I wouldn't even take that bet. I just don't even know, and I'm not going to touch it.
Yeah, I got out too soon on this one. I was recently in a long position. I on the daily chart, I got out on that gap up, the little red candle there, and I'm like, okay, I'm good, done, out. And it was an options trade, and that was that. And then apparently, and this actually was going back to someone's previous question, is leave some for charity. It's like, hey, look, it on my options trade, it hit my target on that, and it's like, okay, good, done, out. I'm happy with that, and it didn't take long to get there. And then the rest is for charity. Someone else is going to get it. Rarely ever am I going to get that exact high, and I absolutely agree with you. I would not be trying to pick a top on this thing. Absolutely not. Yeah,
it's too dangerous, especially when you have someone who is as tweet happy and crazy and unpredictable and volatile as Elon Musk. I mean, that guy, the things he says sometimes and what he does, you gotta love him. He's just nuts. But
apparently it's working.
It's working, and it's just dangerous to be in those types of securities when you have someone at the helm like that. All right, Ryan. Well, I want to thank you for coming on the program today. It's been a long time coming. Next time, we'll when you put your clothes on and you get that camera working, we'll have you back on.
I'm wearing clothes, just for the record.
See,
I do have my slippers on though.
There we go, just slippers. Yeah, that counts as an article of clothing. I learned that from strip poker. I learned a long time ago. Real quick, I know I wanted to end it, but you got your charts up there, and it's a good question from Tom. He says, when would you get back into Tesla? You got out. I mean, was there a point where you'd be like, I'm comfortable buying back into Tesla?
That is a good question. Let's take a look here.
Because I'm not.
There's not much going on there.
I'm not interested.
At this thing, I'm like, where? Yeah, I'm like, maybe down here if and when. But, at this point, there's no clear setup. Again, it's just not my pitch right now. I mean, I was fortunate to get in on this breakout right here, and breakout is one thing that I do. There's not a lot of my trades, but most of my trades are pullbacks in uptrends. But occasionally, you get this sideways movement like this. Absolutely, I'm comfortable taking those breakouts on these really, really strong stocks, and that's what happened. But yeah, as far as a place to get back in, I don't see it right now.
Yeah. And I do like that zone that you have. I like that kind of breakout on the daily, but, for me personally, I know that I have an emotional tie to Tesla, and it's a negative emotional tie. I just don't believe that they are this darling company, especially if you look at the comparison I made on Saturday in my chart of the week. Compare them to Toyota. Toyota is giving me $16 a share profit. Elon Musk is losing me 81 cents per share. And I know that this is all growth. This is the potential. This could be the most dominant company in the space in 5, 10, 15, 20 years. And everyone's saying it'll be the new Apple. I'm just not that type of risk taker. I'm not going to be holding it that long. And the volatility is something I normally would like, but it's just too much for me. So I'd be honest, even if it got to 1,000, I'm not going to trade it. I'm leaving it alone. All right,
those
Ryan.
Emotional ties.
It is. Well, hey, you know what? You've had them too, where you've traded something and it just kicks your butt. Next thing you're like, oh man, why did I do that? And then you try to get back at it, and then you lose even more. And it's like, you know what? Just move on.
Revenge trading. Yeah, absolutely.
It's not written down on my list of not able to trade. I just decided, I'll leave it alone. There's too many other things.
It's actually really good that you did that because you recognized it. And you said, hey, look, that's a weakness. It could get me into trouble. Let me just move on. There's plenty of other fish out there to go catch.
100%. Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, Ryan. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it. I'll try to get you back on here more frequently. I know we got a bunch of people saying, hey, at least give us a ballpark for the date of your launching. I don't want to pigeonhole you here, but...
Yeah, ballpark. I don't know. I'll give you a ballpark on the next time I'm on the show. How about that? I'll know more then.
The cliffhanger. It's like Game of Thrones on this program, I tell you.
Just stay tuned, I guess. Stay tuned.
All right, Ryan. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you, Merlin. Appreciate it.
Yeah, best to you and your family, and I'll talk to you soon.
You got it. Thanks.
All right, take care.
Bye-bye.
Guys, that was Ryan Watkins. I met him and his dad on the trading floor back in 99. I thought it was 98, but it was January of 99. Just great people. I've been friends for a long, long time, and he's just such a gentle giant out there. Got a lot to offer in that education space. And I was going to ask him who his instructor was. I think his instructor was Spencer Sheldon, who actually was one of my students a long time ago. It's so weird. I don't even think of myself as kind of this old instructor, but as I look in the mirror and see all this gray hair, I'm starting to feel more and more like I'm the old guy out there. PBJ, ask me that one again when I have more time. I think I'm going to try to do a show just on patterns, and breakouts would be a good topic in there. Breakouts, not necessarily a pattern, but it's just an action to a pattern, and we'll probably do that one. Oh, Fernando! Ryan says Fernando was his instructor back then. Yeah, that was a lot. That was Fernando's last class. I'm pretty sure that was his last class because after that, Fernando demanded more money, and the company said no, and they said, hey, Merlin, you're going to teach the next class, and I had to all of a sudden be the main teacher. That was a wild and crazy time. Fernando, awesome. Great guy. Cool. Tom says maybe the new Netscape. I don't think Tesla will be like the new Netscape. Netscape, was a pioneer in the industry, but others came up and ate its lunch. I think that Elon Musk is way too ambitious. There's too much big money in it right now. I think Tesla will stick around. The real truth to this is, or the real thing we'll have to wait and see is, to what extent that competition rises up. And does Tesla go into more debt buying and acquiring these other firms that become a threat? Or is there now all of a sudden a steady flow of competition, which obviously would start eating some of their potential profit margins and future earnings? And right now that's not a consideration. A lot of these companies aren't going to be producing anything for some time. A lot of the Chinese ones are going to be are producing vehicles right now, as I mentioned yesterday. But a lot of them we've never even heard of. NIO is one of the ones that we have heard of that's traded on NYSE. But there are a lot of others in China. China really has a ton of them, and if we see some consolidation in China and do some big mega factories over there and they push Tesla out, then all of a sudden Tesla's got some major, major headwinds. But that's all speculation way, way down the road. Let's see. Jose Velasco joined Tradestation School. Good for him. Good for Jose. Merlin, sir, are you not with OTA? No, I'm still with OTA. I am definitely with Online Trading Academy. I will have been there since the beginning, and I'll be there all the way to the end. Well, depends how long I live, but it'll be there I'll be here. I'm not going anywhere. All right, let me go into the materials here and show you just what's cooking for tomorrow. This is the calendar for the 8th. Now, we didn't really have anything that was super critically important today. Obviously, we had the Australian rate announcement last night. Didn't really have too big of an impact on the Aussie dollar. Tomorrow, for the U.S., you can see you have crude oil inventory, so if you're trading that CL, be careful. This could be that push that breaks it above that $40.60 mark that we've been talking about. It's been right there tipping, teetering on that edge. I'll even bring that chart up just so you guys can see it. We've been talking about this one for weeks now. Let's go at CL. And you can see we've just been smacking. I mean, today we closed at 40.62. I mean, we get a close above this high right here, which was 30. No. That's the low. A high of 41.63. We get a close above. To me, you get a close above 41. This thing's going to start to rip and close that gap. But we could see that happen tomorrow because of that crude oil inventory data. All right, on that list also you saw some Japan information, but none of this is really that critical for us. We have consumer credit. We also have the 10-year bond auction, which is looking at about 0.83 right now for the yield there. That's pretty much it for tomorrow's economic announcements. Earnings-wise, guys, we are in the doldrums. I call it the doldrums because nothing's happening right now. It's next Wednesday is when all of a sudden the big names start to drop. We have Financial Wednesday next Wednesday, where you have JP Morgan, I want to say Wells Fargo, and Goldman Sachs. I think those three come up. We'll give you an update when we get closer to it. So to me, those are, right now it's just quiet, bracing for that. And I got my fingers crossed because I need this market to sell off a bit so I don't end up with a massive loser on my short position on the SPY. But either way, it's the rules were put in place and we'll follow it. If I take a loss, I take a loss. Guys, if you like that one with Ryan Watkins, I would encourage you to go give me a thumbs up out there. You can also click that subscribe button. I know we have a lot of new people here. Click the little bell. I do 3 different releases a week. Of course, we do the live show every day, but there's also a Saturday show and a Sunday show that I release on a time basis. But this show is live. Click the thumbs up button. Give us a little love if you feel like you want to share some. Criticism. I really from Top Gun. No, man. I no acting career here. I had an acting career when I was probably 8 or 9 years old. I was fortunate enough to be brought into an ILM production movie, Industrial Light and Magic production, because my aunt was dating one of the lead guys at ILM. And unfortunately, it never got picked up. So unfortunately, my career is very different. I'm sure it would be very different if I was an actor. All right, guys, that will do it for today. Again, I want to thank you so much. Thanks, Ryan Watkins. Tomorrow, we're going to have... who am I having on the program tomorrow? Tomorrow's going to be Tilly Allison. You guys sent a ton of questions about her, Tilly Allison's market outlook. Tomorrow, we'll be doing basically an open Q&A and all that. There were a lot of great questions about time frames, after-hour sessions, how zones are set. So we'll look at some of that on tomorrow's show with Tilly Allison. Of course, if you haven't seen it, I would encourage you guys to check out, go to Trader Merlin YouTube page, and you'll see there's a playlist that I made called Tilly Allison's Market Outlook. You can click on that one, and it'll show you all those little videos. Now, she's done 3 of them so far. Hopefully, that will continue on because I think they are very, 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 very good. Mike LaRusso says, how long are your shows kept? I've had no... I mean, you're talking about on YouTube? They'll be there forever on YouTube until YouTube tells me I run out of space, and there's no space limitations yet. So hopefully they'll be there for a long, long time. I won't be removing them unless something bad happens, and then, of course, we'll remove those videos. But no, it'll be there for a while. So that'll do it for today, everybody. Thank you so much. Again, click that thumbs up button. If you have comments, questions, put them in the video or down below this video. I'll get to all those on tomorrow's show with Tilly Allison. Until then, happy trading, everybody. I'll see you tomorrow.